In today's studio vlog, I wanted to chat about some of the new creative things I'm doing. Hey everyone, it's me, Audrey, your watercolor bestie, and welcome to my studio. I think as an artist and as a lifelong learner, I have this insatiable curiosity which simultaneously excites me and paralyzes me. Because sometimes there's just like so many things I want to do and I don't know where to start. And so that's where the excitement and paralysis come in. But since I started my 100-day project, Charcoal? I think our dog Charcoal wants to join. So I think since I started my 100-day project, it's been unlocking fear that I've had about trying new things and talking to other people and just being very vulnerable and honest about my creative process has helped me overcome some of that anxiety and fear that's attached to creating. And so one of the things that I started trying was gouache. And one of the first things that I painted was this cosmos landscape. And I painted this using a different brand of gouache than the Holbein, and I was kind of disappointed, and so I ended up using the Holbein gouache in certain areas to kind of fix it up. And that almost discouraged me, I'll be honest, it almost did, because then I went back to using watercolors for the next couple days. And then I was like, you know what? I need to give gouache another try. And so I did. And then from day 29, I started painting more in gouache. And so I have marigolds and peonies here, and then lavender and roses here. And I felt like just because you had one bad experience doesn't mean that, you should just swear it off and never do it again. So I'm really glad that I kept at it because I'm loving the process. Even though gouache is just an opaque type of watercolor, you still have to think a little bit differently when it comes to painting it. So, I'm not ready to start teaching gouache or anything like that, and I haven't formed all of my thoughts right now, but I'm still really enjoying the process. And I know I have a lot to learn, but that is exciting me rather than paralyzing me. Second, I started learning how to draw faces. So one of the things about me is that I never took an art class. So I never took like a figure drawing class or like a fine art class. I did take a jewelry making class in college, and that was a lot of fun, but I never formally took any art classes. And so I say that I am a self-taught artist. But because of that, I always felt insecure that my drawing skills weren't good enough. And one of the things that I was very insecure about was being able to draw faces and people. Yeah. So I just kind of took a chance and started watching a Skillshare class by Gabrielle Bricky, and I love her style of how she draws women and female characters. I'm definitely still in the beginning phases of learning how to draw faces, but I really appreciated how she gave us like a template to work with. Part of her class downloadable is this template. And it just simply has a blank face, but it helps you get the right proportions, Because I think for me, the proportions was one of the hardest part. Like my nose is always too low, and then my mouth is too close or further down. So just all of that. And then my eyes placing was always off too. So having this really helped. And so I was able to kind of make my own. But I think this drawing process reminded me a little bit about calligraphy, because in calligraphy, instead of just writing letters, you start learning the strokes first. And then the strokes are the building blocks to creating the letters. And so what I did, because I was having a hard time drawing the oval just for the eyes, I did pages and pages of just ovals. Look at this. And this is just what I was doodling on while I was watching her class. But again, I'm just like doodling all over the place. And I'm just practicing getting that oval right. And this is something that I teach even to my students, that whatever you're doing, repetition is necessary because it's building muscle memory, Like I'm not used to drawing eyes, and I'm not used to drawing ovals like this. And so I have to train my mind, I have to train my hand to get used to that motion. So I know I have a long way to go before I can start freehanding things, but it's been so much fun just practicing and learning, and also giving myself grace. Because again, when you're learning something brand new, you have to remind yourself that it's okay that progress is slow. You know, some people tend to pick up on things faster, and that's okay. For me, drawing was never a skill that I formally learned, so it's going to take me a little bit longer, and I'm not practicing hours and hours a day like I used to do with watercolor. So I'm trying to learn to give myself grace as well. But I did bust out my old a dot pad, Rhodia dot pads, and I like the dots because I can practice on the spacing of the eyes. And so these faces I actually drew myself, obviously, but then I also spaced the template myself. And so I tried to figure out how much, space I need to put in between each eye, and then from the eye to the nose, and the nose to the mouth, etc., etc. And so this was my first set of faces. And so I'm really happy with this. And on the other side of the page, I just did a bunch of ovals again. And then more faces. And then more ovals again. And then more faces again. Did I do more ovals? Nope, that was it. So far my goal was just my personal goal was to draw 25 faces before going on to like drawing the head shape and the hair, etc. And that's just a personal goal because Gabrielle didn't tell us to do that, but I think again, when you know yourself and you're okay with the pace that you're going at, you know what you need to do in order to go to the next step. And I think for me, having these smaller goals is helping me keep the overall goal in mind of being able to draw people, or at least their heads, freehand eventually. But until then, I'm gonna practice ovals until they start to feel really natural, and then just have fun drawing the faces. Taking her class also opened me up to other supplies, so using mostly graphite pencils, a smudger, and a white gel pen. And so just using those simple supplies and being able to create, amazing stuff. I'm just really excited about the possibilities and opportunities. Eventually, I want to be able to, freehand the faces and perhaps even take it into my own style, and then be able to, outline them with pen, and then maybe even paint them. So that's the ultimate goal, right? But again, I need to start at level 1. So thanks for watching. Like I said in the beginning, I think as a lifelong learner and someone who teaches, I have to be, and I'm happy to be, someone who is always learning. I've always told you guys that even with watercolor, I wasn't ever formally taught. The information that I share are things that I have learned myself and mistakes that I've made through my trial and error, through just my sheer passion for watercolor. I found ways to teach people. And I'm so happy I have that opportunity and this platform to do that. And hopefully through this video, you realize that we can always learn something new, that it doesn't have to be scary, it doesn't have to paralyze us, and it might even spark a new hobby, a new style. I'd love to hear from you. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video, and let me know what you think about learning a new creative discipline. Is there something that you have been learning and want to talk about? And what are some of your stumbling blocks when it comes to learning a new creative discipline? And if you want to be more mindful in your creative process, please join my live streams. You can find the schedule in the community tab. And let's be creative, let's paint, let's just take some dedicated time to take care of our inner artist. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.